Good evening, guys, and happy Monday to all of your sunshiny faces, guys. It is so hot. I am in shorts and a tank top, and that's what I've been wearing pretty much all day today. Finally was able to get my windows open. Finally took the plastic off my windows that I put on over the winter. And then, like I said, got the windows open, and all of the windows right now in the house are open. And the sad thing is that it's warmer in my room than like everybody else's room pretty much, just because my room's like in the middle of the house. So for one, there's not a lot of, like, my parents have two on either, like they have the corner room, so they have two windows in there. You know, there's a huge stream of windows throughout the living room, you know, all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of that. And then too, like, my room's just in the middle, so it keeps all the heat in, and so it's a lot warmer in my room. So I have got a fan, you guys can see that behind me, that I'm going to run tonight, just because honestly, as warm as it gets, it's not that bad. I can sleep normally even in the heat, so long as I have a fan on me. Like I said, it's normally not actually that bad, like that I'm that uncomfortable and can't sleep. So it's actually supposed to only get warmer. It was like only 77 I think is a high today, but it's supposed to get warmer, and like this entire week pretty much is supposed to be in the 80s, mid to high 80s I think. And so, like I said, it's going to be pretty nasty out. But then it's supposed to get, like, by next week it's supposed to be kind of cooler, like mid 60s or so, to like maybe high 60s, but again, like, that's more manageable, I feel like, a little bit. So we're gonna have, you know, again, very, very warm weather, and then again, it's going to be a little bit cooler at least. So honestly, like, I don't know, we might be able to get through this week, and if we can, without having the air conditioning on, you know, like, we'll be good. But we could literally, again, just turn the air conditioning on if we needed to. But, like, again, it wasn't really that warm throughout most of the day today. I was perfectly fine. It's just more in the afternoons, like in the evenings, and so, like, it'll get cold overnight. And again, I have my windows open even though I've got my curtains closed, but it'll probably be pretty cool in here, and then keep it cool for most of the morning tomorrow, and then by the late afternoon, like, it'll be warm again. And so, like I said, that's like the point when I need to have my fan on, which I don't have an overhead fan, because again, when I ended up getting the new light for my room back when I redid my room, like, I don't even know when that was, back several years ago, 5 or plus years ago, something like that, 4 years ago. There used to be a fan in here, but I ended up replacing it with the chandelier, so I don't even have like an overhead fan or anything. Like, my parents have one in their room, there's one in the living room. Matthew and Jack have one upstairs, plus Jack has got 2 dual fans going, like these ones, because we have 3 of these. And so, like I said, there's that, but like, we'll try and hold out for as long as we can without turning on the air conditioning. Like, it's the way my friends, like, they do it too. You know, like, they won't turn their air conditioning on until, I think, like she said, normally like the end of June or like July or something like that, and they don't run it for very long. So again, like, it's not, again, insanely unmanageable right now as far as like how warm it is and everything. And again, like, we can turn the air conditioning on if we needed to, but like I said, it's not that bad. Again, like, the next couple days it'll be pretty, like, you know, again, 80s, almost 90s, but you know, that's like really nice weather out. And then again, it's supposed to get cool, you know, pretty cool out, but still, personally, I feel like 60s is like just like, I don't know, I want to say like the perfect weather, but I feel like it's very like nice, where if you're in the shade or if there's a breeze, it's very cool. And then if you're in the sun when it's 60 degrees out, it's still not like scorching hot. So like I said, that's what the weather looks like. But you know, for the upcoming week, and that's what I'm going to be dealing with as far as the heat goes and everything like that. But you know, in the next possibly couple days. But I ended up actually not really being able to get to a whole ton, because my mom was sleeping for almost the entire day. Like, not entire day, but she ended up sleeping into sort of like, you know, the late afternoon. But my dad was home all day today, but we still really weren't able to like get anything done. Like I was telling you guys too, it's like difficult to do a whole ton, because we couldn't, you know, we can't be out like making a lot of noise or, you know, doing anything that's too loud so that my mom can hear. And then on top of that too, because like Jack was at school today though, But you know, we have to try and keep the dogs quiet too. We can't like leave them locked up somewhere where they're gonna be whining or barking if we're making noise too, because honestly, like, even, it's weird, when we leave them at home alone, when they have their bark collars on, they're perfectly fine. But like, if they know that we haven't left and gone anywhere, like if they can see us in the backyard, or you know, like they just know that like we've been coming in and out and stuff like that, then normally they like get very whiny and, you know, like are trying to get our attention, like that they want to be with somebody. So it's normally not really like a good combination to just be leaving them laying around, you know, like the rest of the house or whatever, when again we're here, because they will wind up making noise. Or again, like if we wind up being outside and then we come in and they wind up hearing us, they'll wind up probably start, you know, they'll start barking. What I did wind up getting to today, though, I ended up editing, I got to some editing today, but I also ended up actually making a book list, like sort of for myself, in order to sort of keep track of the books that I've been reading, but also ones that I know I want to read, either if they're ones that I don't have already, or just like again, like books in general. Like I'll always wind up forgetting, like, oh yeah, we have that book, or like, oh, I wanted to read that. Like I'm sure there was a couple of books in the attic. I know, again, I read one of them, but there was a couple that I ended up hanging on to and like set off to the side because they were ones that I wanted to read, sort of like classic sort of books and things like that, and so those I ended up, like I said, hanging on to a bunch of them, and I wanted to read them. And again, I don't know even like what a couple of them were. Like I want to say maybe it was like we had like Sleepy Hollow or something like that, I don't know, but there was again a couple of like older ones that were up there that I was like, oh, I wanted to read this. Or they might have been two like history sort of books. Like again, I think there's some other like historical figures, sort of like history sort of books like that are specifically about like a specific person, that I ended up hanging on to too, because I was like, oh, I want to read those. And then I feel like we had like Matthew ended up getting one that I actually think might still be in my room, or did I have the Book of Mythology? I don't know. I have one and I think that was actually his, but then I think he had like the Odyssey, and like Homer's The Odyssey book, and I thought, unless maybe that was like, I don't know, I thought I had that one too, but then I found another one in the attic that I know wasn't the same one that I think he had, unless he just had that one and I found the other one, or I don't know. Anyways, again, other than the handful of books that are on my shelves, I know there's some in the attic, but I also wanted to make a list too of books that I want to buy like in the future. Like again, I ended up buying the Harry Potter series because I haven't read any of those books, but like two we have, which I haven't been able to find since we've really cleaned out the attic. And honestly, when we had them, they were all falling apart, but they were the Little House on the Prairie books. I've only ever read up to, I think maybe like the fourth book maybe, and I can honestly don't remember reading the first book. Like I think maybe we didn't have that, so my mom just skipped it. We never had like the complete like series. We had like random sort of books. Like I think we also didn't have like the last 2 or 3 books, but again, I think we maybe didn't have the first one, so we skipped that one, and then we ended up reading, or we read like a segment, like a chapter from like that was in like a big like combined like a classics book or something like that, and so then we just ended up reading that and then skipped and went straight into the Little House in the Prairie, because I believe that's the second one, but it was the Little House in the Big Woods or whatever it was called. That was the first one, and that one, like I said, I think we just ended up reading like a section or chapter of it from this like book that we had. So like I said, and then I think we read like, I think I only read up until The Shores of Silver Lake. I think that The Banks of Plum Creek is maybe the next one, and then it's The Shores of Silver Lake, and somewhere in there is also Farmer Boy. So I know that I read those 4, I believe, and again, I don't think we ever finished either On the Banks of Plum Creek, I think it was called, or The Shores of Silver Lake. We didn't finish reading one of those, and that's where we stopped. And then I think maybe we had like one more after that, but we never ended up finishing reading it, or like got to reading that one. So like I said, we never had like the complete one. They were all like, honestly too, they were all like falling apart. Like I think, again, Farmer Boy, I have not seen that one at all in the attic. I think maybe I found like our actual just the Little House on the Prairie book. But again, I want to get the entire box set of that and actually read that because I love it. I actually have sitting on my desk, funny enough, is that it's like a book that had like a lot of like extra additives, I guess, to like help with the reading, sort of, that my mom ended up getting. It had like layouts of like what the houses looked like. It had like other like information about like things that were either going on at that time, more background story into like the Ingalls and Wilder family, and like also too like other like they have little recipes and they're like all kinds of different stuff. It's a really cool book. I actually love it. But like we have that's the only one that I know of that I actually have. I don't know if we actually have any of those like I said, the actual box series books, but I want to get that. And again too, like there's a handful of other books that I really want to read, but you know, like I said, I just need to actually get around to reading them. So I started making a huge long like, and I want to keep adding to it every single time that I come up with like a book that I'd want to read. Like I really want to read some old like mystery books too, like the Agatha Christie books. I'd love to read some of those. Again, like handfuls of other you know, like I said, just some of those like older or classic books too. You know, again, I want to read them aside from just some of the newer like series books too. Like again, like we have the Hunger Games series, like I told you guys, but I never read that. I just bought the Harry Potter ones. I want to read that. And you know, I'm in the middle of doing that right now. I'm on the second book now. And then also too like the Twilight, and again the like some of the other ones that like aren't like popping up in my head right away. Like again, I forgot that I kept remembering but then kept forgetting about the Little House on the Prairie ones. I want to read the Chronicles of Narnia, which I had the whole box set. I read the first one, which I think was The Magician's Nephew, and we read multiple times The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, but I never ended up reading anything after that. Like we just only ever read The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and like I said, we read the first one then, and like my mom was like, let's try and read, you know, the actual like whole series, because my uncle ended up getting it for me one like Christmas. This was before like him and my aunt were married, so it was a really long time ago. And like I said, I had like the first one and we read the second one, and then I think there's like a couple more, like maybe 6 books in total. I think actually Jack read the whole series also, but again, I never ended up finishing reading that. So if I don't still have that box set, I want to buy that again, but I think that I do. And those ones are not long. They're like pretty short, quick, not super short, quick, but compared to Harry Potter, it's like they're like big. So those ones will probably actually be fast reads, but like some of that kind of stuff, like I was telling you guys, is just things that I want to read so that like I know, like, you know, I just feel like sometimes like I miss out, like, you know, like again, I've seen the movie multiple times, the first, you know, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and I've read the book multiple times, but as far as like everything else around that, like I don't really know. I've never, you know, read it, and I just feel like again, like I know like some basic stuff about things, but I just want to know like more of, again, like what I've, you know, again, sometimes started a little bit or heard things about or whatever, or again, like I said, like started, like I've started reading some of the books or whatever, but I never actually finished some of that stuff. So that's why I want to, and that's what I was doing today, with making, you know, a, you know, not even a very long list, but making a you know, a list of on my phone of, like I said, like Booklist books that I want to read at some point. And again, there's so many books out there that it's like, you know, I have got plenty of options, but there's lots of stuff that I don't like to read. I love history, but I also really love like fantasy sort of, you know, like sci-fi almost sort of things, and just, you know, that kind of stuff too. So I'm into more like the comic book aspect, I think, of like the sci-fi stuff. I don't mind reading like nonfiction too. Like I got a handful of books of those as well. And I have actually read, I feel like too, I used to actually read a lot more nonfiction than I read fiction. And now it's like the complete opposite, where at least recently, that's what I've been really big into, and not so much the nonfiction. But like when I was in high school, if I had a choice of books to read, that was a lot of times what I ended up actually reading, was because I was actually what I liked reading, funny enough. So anyways though, I'm going to take a shower now and get to bed. Hopefully it won't be too hot. And Bravo's looking at me. Well, actually, both of them are looking at me now. Because, again, they know for some reason when I'm ready to go and take a shower that, and their ears keep going up, too, that means we're, oh, Bliss is having a dream in the hallway right now. So they're also looking at her over that. I just heard her, like, do a little whimper. So anyways, I will see you guys all in tomorrow's vlog. If you guys did enjoy today's, make sure you guys give a big old thumbs up. If you guys are new, we'd love if you'd subscribe, and I'll see all of your sunshiny faces tomorrow. So bye, guys.